Any other questions?
I kind of had a question moving forward. I know there is, some technical debt, some facility debt. In other words, improvements at the church, improvements at the parsonage that, haven't really been covered over time. What is kind of the planning process moving forward as we look into what these improvements are and how do we want to prioritize and fund those kinds of things?
Yeah. So the board has come up with a list of different facilities improvements that need to get done. Currently, the main project is getting the heat pump and the water heater in the downstairs basement improved at the parsonage. But then in 2021, we will be looking more at what else needs to be done here at the building, and let's prioritize what those things are. Let me see if I can find it really quick, what that list was. But some of those things would be the front door that doesn't always latch if you're not careful. So getting that repaired. There's some lights outside that need to be replaced or fixed. Anybody else remember what else was on that list? Andy, do you remember any of those things?
I think we're looking at there's some additional security stuff that needs to be done on the doors for the parsonage, basement door, and the side door above the steps. Parsonage steps out the back need to be replaced.
Locks.
What? Locks. So some of these are categorized as, for the church, it's safety, make it, the second priority would be critical to the mission of the church. So let's say that all of a sudden we have an influx of people in the church, or we may need to replaster the wall that was all taken apart downstairs and used in order to use it for meeting rooms or classrooms. So those are kind of like a priority two. Safety stuff is priority one. So that's lights and locks and
I found the list, Andy. So let me share the screen there. So the purple things are in the parsonage, the church here, fixed the front door. We already upgraded the Wi-Fi. The drinking fountain was leaking. I think, did you already shut that off, Andy?
No.
Not yet. So there's still a pitcher under there collecting the leak. Dump run for various stuff around the back of the building. There's a lot of things at this building that could be taken to the dump. Add trim to windows on stairs, office ballast, painting the hallway and the office, north sidewalks redone, power washing sidewalks, carpet cleaning, cleaning of windows, cleaning of blinds, pew cleaning, decluttering various rooms, tree trimming, weed blocking the weeds and gravel the front, leak in the downstairs Sunday school room. Andy kind of addressed that already. Patching the roof and clean off the roof. And so those are some of the things that we have our eye on for the future.
And I think the windows in the parsonage, I know you guys are
on
a plan for that as well, right?
Yeah, we've been in talks about the windows in the parsonage, and there's just a variety. We've gotten some bids from that to redo all of the windows in the parsonage, and they've been very. There's been a scale. There was a scale on one end. I think the lowest bid we got was about $14,000 to redo all the windows in the parsonage. On the high end, it was close to $70,000 to do all the windows in the parsonage. So,
go figure.
Yeah. So, kind of, and the person who gave the company that gave the 60 to 70,000 bid, they're a well-known company, and I'm sure they do really good work and kind of described about here's the things you got to watch out for when using other companies. But that's something that we need to to think about, pray about, especially not necessarily whether we need to do it, but maybe what's the timing of that, especially with our current congregation size and current budget. We don't necessarily need to be spending $70,000, which is nearly a year's worth of our annual budget on windows. Maybe we replace one or two that are absolutely necessary now, and then as the congregation grows and the budget grows, then it will be a smaller percentage of the overall budget to do the rest.
So for the contractors, so Anderson was an outlier, 60 to 70. For the contractors quoted, I think 14,500 to
about 20K.
Yeah, 20. So that's where it stands. I think we need to have the board talk about how they want to proceed, knowing full well that if there's economies to doing them all at once. It will be more expensive to split it, and even more expensive to do them 5 or 6 at a time. So,
yeah. Well, we'll be in discussions on that, on what's absolutely necessary. Like you said, those priority 1 repairs that need to be done, versus, whether it's worth biting the bullet and doing all of them. And
right. I agree with Abe. Some of the windows are becoming more of priority 1 just because they're leaking. They're leaking on the inside. It's ruining the wood on the outside. The glazing on the outside is falling off, and so it's degrading and leaking. So the more you let those go, the worse it's going to be, to the point where you're going to have to replace a lot of wood. So,
yeah.
Let me think about that.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Kevin.
I was just going to say that I think a lot of the stuff that the list you ran through, it just seems like a lot of workday projects that we can come in and do at some point, right? Where maybe when COVID's over, we can get a time to get them in there and clean the pews, do some painting, those kind of things where knock those off the list, right?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, some of the things like cleaning the roof and the gutters, and those are things that Joe and I did already. We pressure washed last year. So pressure washing it again, I don't know if we need to do it this year. It just depends on how bad the moss has grown, but we blasted a whole bunch of it last year. So I fixed the trim on that window that's on the stairs, so you can take that off.
Okay.
But actually, the things to kind of watch for is if the congregation starts growing and we start needing those rooms downstairs, then we've got to think about replastering the walls and making those rooms suitable for meetings or classrooms. So right now, those are like a priority 2 or less, but they could become priority 1.
Right.
So it's just something to look at because things change over time.
The one other thing I want to mention that I've talked with the board is for us to begin thinking of how we can monetize this building, and not just in terms of renting it out here and there a couple of times, but what are some things that we can do? Obviously, real estate is a big market here in Seattle. And so one of the suggestions was maybe we set up a room and set it up as a recording studio. And then we advertise that people can come and record, musicians can come and record and rent out that room for their recordings. And then that could be a revenue stream that, then frees up some of our donations for ministry. There was talks at one point of launching a preschool here There was someone that approached the congregation about hosting a preschool, and then with COVID, that kind of shifted, and they decided not to. But that could be a possibility at some point. But just any ideas are open of how we can do that, and it's not that we want to be greedy and make money off the building. We want to make money so that it frees up our donations for ministry. I mean, in an ideal world, if we could find some way that there was some revenue stream, and it doesn't have to be just to make money, but it could also be a ministry. If there was a preschool here and we had families coming in on a regular basis, that could be an avenue for ministry. And then that we're able to pay for all the operations of the church, then all of our donations could go towards ministry, and we could expand what we do even more. And so I'm just praying that God would give us ideas, and then once those happen, then we have to figure out how to get them done. But if they're God-given ideas, He'll give us the God-given plans. The last thing I want to share, some of you already have this information, but in case you don't, I want to share some contact information. Here's Deborah and I's contact information. Take a screenshot or write it down. If you don't have our phone numbers or our email addresses, we're free. Give us a call, give us a text. We'd love to chat. We'd love to hear what you have to say, how you're thinking about church. If you've got new ideas for ministry or anything else, we'd love to connect. We're available to you guys. Secondly, is for Jason and Catherine, as they are local missionary candidates here, and as they are getting more involved in the ministry of the church. If you want to contact them, this is their contact information, both their phone numbers and their email addresses. So feel free to write those down or take a screenshot. If I skip through this too fast, just call or text me or tell me to slow down, and I'll go back to it so you can write all of that down. Next would be for Rhonda and Renee, as they are leading the youth and college. So that is their information. If you don't have that, they would love your input, love your help. So that's Rhonda and Renee's information. And then finally, the board didn't have room to put all their email addresses, but there's their phone numbers. If you ever have anything that you'd like to discuss about the church and need to talk with the board member, these are current board members. One final note to make, Kevin will be cycling off the board, as his term will be up this summer. And so in June, we will be looking to replace Kevin at his board position. And so be praying and asking God, is that you? So, or thinking, who can you nominate to fill Kevin's position? He's been on the board for several years now. And as per the conference and book of discipline, like they recommend, I forgot what the recommendation was. Do you remember, Gerard, how many years they recommend? And both you and Kevin had well exceeded that.
I think it was 3 years with 2 terms.
Yeah, so 6 years, and then at least take a year off before being renominated. So I think, Gerard, you were on there for 16, 17 years, and Kevin's been on another dozen or more years. And so not that and anyways, it's just a cycle, just to keep fresh faces on the board. All right, that concludes our annual vision meeting. Any questions or comments or clarifications before we say goodbye and we can all go grab lunch?
Just a comment. Thank you for your leadership in this, Abe and Deborah, Jason and Catherine. We love you guys. And just again, thank you also to the board, the work that you guys do every week and everything on our behalf, and really for the kingdom. May this be treasures in your crown in heaven, so to speak. So thank you all for your leadership of our church here.
Thank you. Thank you, Gerard.
Jason had an idea of something. I don't know what it was, but he said, I have an idea of something. So he's going to say whatever it is.
It wasn't really an idea. But I was going to ask, it was about small groups. And I was going to ask if Lakeview was going to start a bearded men's club, because if it is,
Count me in.
I think that would be awesome. Bearded men. I unfortunately will not be participating because I lose kisses the longer my whiskers grow. But I wholeheartedly encourage bearded men to get together.
Well, and women. We could have bearded women if women want to be on it.
That's funny.
So does that mean I should grow a beard?
Your wife is shaking her head no, so it's up to you. Do you want to gain a bearded men's club, or do you want to lose affection from your wife? The choice is yours.
Okay.
All right, friends. Thank you so much for your commitment to the ministry here at Lakeview, both of your time, of your resources, of your giving, and your friendship. I've said it over and over again. We are the church. It's us, the people, and we make Lakeview what it is, and you're making it even better by being here. So thank you for being a part. Now go grab some lunch, y'all.